Hi, this is Kevin Deal from Upscale Audio, and today we're going to talk about my favorite speakers of all time. Oh my God, but okay, we're going to do this a little bit different, because if we say, oh, the most important speakers of all time, then it's going to be the same boring shit that you've seen on everybody else's channel. JBL L100, Klipsch horn, Quad ESL 57, blah, 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 and that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about speakers that were important to me back in the day and how I developed my own idea of what good sound is and all of that stuff. And some of these are going to be a little bit obscure, and I'm just curious if any of you recognize them, and maybe you can share your own stories or about stories of speakers that you like down in the comment section. And don't forget, I never say this, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. But anyway, let's get to number one. All right, first up, number one. This is a speaker that I just sold the bejesus out of when I was about 18 years old working at Cal Stereo. Maybe I was 19.
What if it's as big as a Subaru and costs as much? You'll never have to trade this in. This is going to be with you for the rest of your life.
The Cerwin-Vega U-351. This was a big cabinet. It was a 15-inch three-way. Gene Cerwinski had a similar idea about sound that Paul Klipsch did. Gene Cerwinski was an engineer that came from aerospace, and this was the hub for aerospace here in Los Angeles. He started this company, and he just wanted to create products that were dynamic and had incredible bottom end, and he did that. I mean, he was famous for developing an 18-inch driver that would give you 130 dB of SPL at 30 hertz. He was also famous for creating something that I frickin' hated called Sensurround.
Not experience, Sensurround on TV.
There was a movie back in the 80s called Earthquake. And I went to the theater, and during certain parts of the movie, they'd turn this crap on, and it was so obnoxious to me, but everybody else seemed to like it. But the thing is, the U-351, I never even owned them, but I sold tons of them. You gotta understand what's going on. It's the late 70s, Ted Nugent's happening, Aerosmith came out with Rocks, you know, I mean, UFO, and all of these great, great bands, and it was just kicking ass, and you wanted to do nothing more than turn it up and have fun. We were not thinking about imaging. We were not thinking about sticking the little pinky out. We were just thinking about having a rockin' good time. So let's go to the next one. The Wharfedale E90. Now this speaker came out in 1981. They were made in England. Wharfedale was known for making some very, very, very cool stuff. Very, very, very cool company. This speaker was quite different from what they had made before, because it was a much higher efficiency speaker and it was a ported cabinet. They were just gorgeous to look at. In fact, the whole E series from that period was just fantastic to look at. And unlike the Cerwin-Vega, which had these foam surrounds that would just fall apart because of smog and air and all that, these had like a butyl rubber edge surround, so they did not need to be reconed. And if you find a pair today, I mean, are you gonna like them? I don't know. Speakers have moved forward so much, but still, I could live with a pair of them. 95 dB efficient, didn't take a lot of power, and they just kicked ass. Next up is the ADS M1230. Now, I had a few different pairs of ADSs. Now, this is where I'm starting to grow up a little bit in hi-fi, right? I'm no longer the young stoner. I'm not, you know, I've gone through a transformation in my life. I still like rock and roll, but I was understanding what music was about. And ADS was a company. They were buying drivers from Braun in Germany. They were building just some fantastic products. The ADS M1230, they were an 8-inch, two 8-inch drivers. I recall they were wired in parallel, and then they had a dome mid-range and a dome tweeter in a nice, very substantial cabinet. And the thing I remember about that speaker was even though they were big, they did have a tendency to be able to disappear. And that's where I started understanding all of these things and educating my ear on picking those things out. And then those two 8-inch woofers, man, they just went deep, 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 deep.
I don't know. I don't really know if I need all that bass.
Oh, I think you need all that bass.
I also had a pair of L400s, and I had the powered subwoofer. I think it was called a PV1500 with the external crossover. That system, too, blew my mind. So ADS was very, very hot back in the day, and I gotta tell you, when I owned them, in fact, I still have some. I got some L400s, I got some L510s, I got all kinds of crap up in the rafters. Great stuff. Now, next up is the infamous Dahlquist, but not the DQ-10. In 1985, I was living with my roommate, Matt. I just met my future wife, and maybe 86. And he had a pair of DQ-10s because he had a big bedroom. He had a pair of DQ-10s and a pair of the D1Q subs and the DQ-LP1 crossover, or a pair of them as I recall. And I thought they were really, really nice, but I didn't have room for all that. And there was something about DQ-10s, I gotta be honest, there was something about the high frequency driver. It had a piezoelectric tweeter, and it was just, got on my nerves just a little bit. I did not have that much space for my speakers. And the thing is, this is a DQM-9, and this speaker was so fun, yet performed so well. I sold quite a few of them, but the thing is, I bought them for myself. The ones that I owned initially, they were made out of Nextel, which as I recall, it was a DuPont material, and it's like a kind of a fuzzy feeling thing, and it absorbs sound. And they did, so that's why they made the cabinet in that, so it wouldn't react with the music. The drivers were all made by Magnat in Germany, and they had edge-wound voice coils, and they were really efficient. They had great bass. It's a ported cabinet, has two bass ports in the back. They also made a DQ7, DQ5. Then they ended up coming out with a compact series that never made sense to me. I always liked the original, DQM-9. I've got these up in the rafters. I'll probably never listen to them again in my life, but they are cooler than shit, aren't they? Next up, the Infinity Modulus system. I'm talking about the original one. They had spent buckets of money coming out with a satellite system using an emit tweeter and this mid-range bass driver that was less than 4 inches in diameter. They were very, very power hungry and unbelievable performers themselves, but they were matched with and really were typically purchased with a servo subwoofer. I think that they came out, now I think I remember, these came out in 1990. That's when it was. And man, I bought those things and they were something. And that was when I really had got to be able to spend time at home and understand the beauty of a subwoofer satellite system. Satellite speakers can disappear in a way that great big large cabinets typically cannot, and it was just a magical thing for me to own them and appreciate them and spend hours with them. Now, I ended up taking that same subwoofer and I ran them with a pair of the original MartinLogan CLS. Now, I don't want to put that on my list of favorite stuff. I mean, they were really, really cool because, oh my God, you can see through them. Oh my God, the music comes out of nowhere. Oh my God, this and that. But the thing is, they just, they fell apart if you were trying to get something like Led Zeppelin to bleed. That was number one. Number two, with CLSs, anyone who has owned them, you're going to get up and you're going to move it 1/16 of an inch. Then you're going to go back. Then you're going to go back and you're going to go up and you're going to move it like this far, and then you're going to go back. And you'll spend your whole frickin' day. I mean, that's what I did. I spent my whole day, every day, trying to, because as you move them closer to the back wall, it changed everything. I mean, the entire package. And it was very difficult to do, and it has to be done by ear. There's no just using measures or any tape measures or anything like that. Ain't happening. But still, it was a great experience. Back then, I was running this Audio Research Classic 60. I had the original SP9, and they were, you know, probably some of the best stuff that they ever made, in my opinion. And it was a real fun time. So that kind of takes us up to when I started the company. Upscale Audio started, I think it was 93 or 94. Oh my God, that is a disaster by itself. If I told you what really happened here, if you want to hear that story, put it in the comments. And in fact, if there's something else you want me to talk about, put it in the comments, because I'd like to, you know, just share with you what my thoughts are about things. And I want to know what your comments are. If I was to get something for today, look, people ask me, what's the best speaker? I'm going to tell you this. If I had a pair of the little fine F5, if I had a small room and a little tube integrated amp, like an Evo 100 and fine F501Ss, I would go off into La La Land and I would be happy the rest of my life. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. But there's a lot of speakers that make me happy. Like I said, I love the F112S. I love the F18S and a pair of subs. That's probably what I would end up doing because I love subs. That's fucking amazing. I've got, in my big system upstairs, I have got Focal Grand Utopias, and I love that speaker. It's an absolutely phenomenal speaker. But you know, it's a great big room. It's 1,000 square feet. It is a cave, and it's hard to pressurize it. And what else do I like? Oh my God. All right, I gotta say something about all the new stuff that Klipsch is doing. The Jubilee blows my mind. In the systems that the ones we've delivered and set up for customers, all of them are bonkers, and we've been bonkers about what they're really like in real life in people's homes, if you've got the space to support them. But all the new Klipsch stuff, from La Scala, whatever, they're just knocking it out. I love that company. I want to know, do you like any of the speakers I like? Do you hate them? Do you think I'm crazy? Talk about what your favorite stuff is. Talk about what you bought from Upscale Audio that's been great. Tell me your stories. Ask me what you want to know. And then I hope, you know, if you need to buy something, you can talk to my salespeople. They're not on commission, none of that jive. And I hope you know at Upscale Audio, we're going to treat your system like it's ours. Thank you.